was in with the photographs. And
Well, he was in the newspaper business and then was a linotype operator.
yeah, he liked
one
to
of the
write.
Boston papers. Originally, he worked for his father's paper in Biddeford, and then they moved to West Somerville, a couple of suburbs of Boston, and he worked for the Globe or one of the Boston papers.
He was very loving.
But he wrote poetry, and my dad did to a degree. Yeah, on Christmas presents, he always wrote a little, instead of just for Mom and Dad, would write a little rhyming thing about the present or yourself.
Oh, we would each get what, 10 to 15 little presents.
Oh yeah, and then everything in your stocking, on his stocking, he'd put a note in.
The stocking presents, he had
the little rhyme thing or something humorous.
I remember he had a long time on all his letters.
He was the most industrious guy around Christmas, and he used to...
I still have that letter he wrote to you, thanking you for the fruitcake. I thought that was so precious.
Uh-huh.
But he made chests for all of us in the basement. And,
oh, the most
we
beautiful
never knew what he was
chests.
doing. Then Christmas morning, he had all these chests with
wooden
our
chests?
Yeah, this big. I still have them.
Still have
They
it?
were beige color, and they were beautifully made.
Yeah, beautiful made, and everyone's had their initials on them. They were all identical. We didn't know what he was doing. He was in the basement. We were told.
Remember the time we built the little house?
In the back?
In the back, yeah. We slept out
there's a lot of
there.
pictures.
And he used an old swimming camp.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were going to do for a waterproof roof. And he got the idea we had an old swimming pool. And he nailed it to the roof. And that was waterproof.
And I made
roof.
the curtains for the
You know, he didn't know how to
windows.
make a wooden one that would be waterproof. What's more natural than that? The dog used to sleep out there. And we had a lot of pictures taken.
I remember sleeping out there. Oh, it was fun.
Yeah, that was kind of the centerpiece of that Fair Oak Street house.
And we used
Fair Oaks, which one was that? Was that
Fair Oak Street in
5511.
There was one you lived in just a short period of time.
That was Whiteman Street.
But the Fair Oaks one was the
Solway
one where
Street.
the scene of all the police activity and shooting out of street lights.
I thought you wouldn't remember that.
What was that?
I don't know.
time John and Bob painted the whole bedroom.
Oh yeah, we had
They were
nurses
supposed
or
to
what,
be taking their naps.
a nap, and we were allowed to have one toy with us. And John and I both said we want our paint set. And the nurses said, well, that's fine, they can't get in any trouble, they don't have any water.
No,
And we just painted everything.
They had
they thought, oh, they're so
beautiful,
quiet.
quilts with, were the elephants on them? And,
Yeah.
oh, little precious.
So we painted over all the family pictures.
And
Luckily they had
finally-
glass on them, but
Oh, they painted the whole room.
oh boy, we
And
did
finally,
remember
I
that.
saw them at the window from down below, and I called Mother. She went in and she nearly fainted.
Well,
So, but what, you didn't tell me about the shooting.
Who was responsible? We
I
want the
can't
dirt.
tell a lie. I guess I was the instigator. There was a lot of kids in the neighborhood, and they were shooting the street light out.
With what?
BB guns. And the cops used to come, and this agitated them a lot. And we had this one room, it was a window off this back room, and the house had a lot of gables and everything, and so you couldn't notice it. But this was a tiny window, and it had a perfect bead on the street light. And I had a BB gun, and what was natural, and used to be kind of a kick to me because the cops would look at the house and there was no window facing it, and or that they could see. And this used to kind of frustrate them because they couldn't come from this house, and then we were looking out at the.
Was this at Fair Oak Street?
Yeah,
They'd watch it shatter right in front of their eyes, and they'd be able to tell where it came from.
No, it was the second floor bathroom, if you remember. It was in the back, and there was just a tiny window that you couldn't, because of the configuration of the house, you couldn't notice it was there.
Backyard?
No, it was facing
Mr. Neal's?
Mr. Neal's house, and it was a corner house on Fair Oaks and Wilkins.
Well,
There was just a little shot of visibility to the street light.
the Mullers, did they live near that house?
They lived about 5 or 6
blocks up the hill.
There are a lot of
Over the
pictures
hill.
of Libby and stuff playing with Ann and when you were very, very small.
Well, she was the oldest.
Yeah,
She was older
She was
than
about 5 years older than I was.
Did you go play at her father's house, or did he just come around in a limousine?
No, you didn't play. Nobody ever
Oh,
played
he had the most
in
beautiful
there.
gardens.
living
He was just
Even
very
Libby
precise. He was the
couldn't play
epitome
there.
of Clifton Webb, if you remember that.
Okay.
Always was a dapper clothes, and he used to buy a Cadillac every year, and he had this chauffeur, was it Chester? And he always used to get a big kick because when he'd buy his new Cadillac, he'd give the old one to his chauffeur, and he used to boast. He says, the Mellons might have more money than I do, but they don't have a chauffeur who's got a Cadillac. These Isley ice cream stores, which had gigantic ice cream.
They're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he used to just get a kick after church or whenever he got the opportunity. He'd take us all out and feed us with as much ice cream. Of course, we were real young then, and we just spilled it. He'd bring us home, and he got a kick out of it. I don't know. Insurance company had
She's
its
so
own
poor
insurance
now
company.
that she doesn't have enough money to exist on. And they were at dinner with Bill. Bill has given her money from time to
Bill
time
McKee.
and helped her. Bill
Miller.
Bill Miller.
And they went out to dinner one night, and she got upset in the middle of the dinner and said that that she didn't have enough money to fix her TV, and shouted and.
No, so what I wanted to know
They
is,
had to leave the restaurant, so he's never seen her since.
so what I want to know is, did she get upset like that when you were kids?
Hi.
Or is that just recently?
No, but she was sort of more
What
sad. She
How did this guy? How did Uncle Paul get all his nicknames?
She dressed beautifully. She was
You mean the
wonderful.
foghorn?
Yeah.
He
Tell him.
he was the funniest little kid.
But she was so nice to me. I would visit her in New York. She lived in the Barbizon Women's
Barbizon.
Hotel.
Where
And
Grace
she
Kelly
went
and-
to the famous secretarial school there.
Catherine Gibbs.
Catherine Gibbs. I have a pencil from Catherine Gibbs School. It's still there.
She had 2 years at Wheaton and then went to Katie Gibbs. And so she had a wonderful job, but she's far poorer than any of us now, and it seems a shame.
Yeah,
So-
he was, George was very well to do because he had this insurance company, Moore and Company.
But how
And he
did
got
they
to,
lose their money?
well, he had all the Gulf Oil Company marine insurance, which was pretty good. And then he had a lot of real estate investments too. He was probably at that time was the
Finally, someone in Trenton, New Jersey.
most well off, wasn't he, John? Probably?
We overshot.
So Ann, when you were a kid, did your brothers fight much?
Did you call just a few minutes ago?
No.
put them.
Or did they fight with you?
I always remember the time when Mother told them on Christmas that they needed to clean up all their toys. And Uncle Paul gave all his toys away so he wouldn't have to clean up.
I see. So he gave them away in place.
And I was always, anytime I'd have company, I had to clean a house and always pick up all these blocks. Oh, I must have picked them up a million times. And then I always had to go get the boys at dinner time and to get them into dinner and all. I'd go running all over the neighborhood trying to find them.
We got to siphoning gasoline out of cars and then put it in cans and kicking it in the street. And one time Timmy's booting this can on flames down the street. One of the neighbors says, "What do you got in there, Timmy?" And he says, "Water." What do we call it? The Kipling Mountain Killers or something?
Mr. Wonder and Mr. Grimes, and how on Halloween they loved to chase us, and so we would do all sorts of things to get them all excited. And that was probably before your time.
Yeah, no, I remember their reputation, and we had
And
these
then,
other people.
was it Mr. Wonder that got put in jail?
Was that
Or
Mr. Gertz?
Grimes? Mr. Gertz too.
Because somebody talked to.
Well, we
Because
had
you got
another.
them in trouble?
This lovely family
No.
that the girl was about my best friend, and she was very tomboyish. So she helped me with all my sports and everything. And here her father, he was with the Shanley Apartments and the Shanley Hotel. And he took all the blame when they put one of them in jail. And he had to go to jail for several years, 4 to 6 years or something.
Something like that.
And they never told us.
Huh? I gotta go get
I
some.
never knew, did you? Really? I don't think he did anything.
Do you remember the McCords? This family moved in from Kansas City, Missouri, and the first day they came in the house, we looked out and they were climbing all over their house. And what their purpose was, on the outside of the house, they wanted to figure out how they could get in the house if they ever lost their keys. But we look at this new family and everybody's climbing up the sides of the house. And then they used to have bow and arrows, and they used to shoot.
Hello, how are you?
Their backyard, these arrows, into their house.
Into their own
A
house.
wild little
In their bedroom.
Into the bedroom, through the open windows.
They were
Lie
sick.
down in the backyard.
Measles and mumps and went one of the kids.
Oh, out the window.
No,
In the window.
the ceiling of the
Oh, inside the
They
house.
were sick in bed.
How did the fog start?
My voice never changed. But if anybody ever came, if anybody from the school board came, I was to lip sync.
Oh, yeah, so they
Because
wouldn't know.
they didn't want to hear Caruso singing in 3rd grade.
Well, he was 35.
Mother and Dad had a big thing about our pulling our ears. And we just did it accidentally, and they told us not to pull our ears. That was kind of a signal. That's the thing. And they kept telling us, if you keep pulling your ears.
Well, I thought the foghorn had to do with the story about the parade. Where
My voice was always.
he wound up
You
with a
could hear
mayor.
him coming.
Oh, and
Just from his
everybody
voice.
knew him. He was a
He knew
friend.
every cop from the commissioner to the beat
Foghorn's
cop.
sister.
Oh, my dad would go into work and people would say, "There's Foghorn's dad."
No, my voice was always an octave low, which confused me.
And he was so friendly.
Well, he was on the dais at the parade, or he got lost at the parade?
Oh, there was some politician speech. And the family went, we were standing, I don't think there were seats in the room, we were standing all together. And as invariably happened, Paul got separated from us and we said, where's Foggy, where's Paul? And we happened to look up on the stage where the speech was, and there's Paul with the police commissioner. And he's standing up there with the dignitaries.
Remember when the Ringling Brothers dwarfs came to his house? And she said, whatever you do, just don't go near the house because you'll embarrass these people because they're real small people. And they got in the living room. There was Paul standing
One extra,
Looking eye to eye with all the dwarfs.
one extra door.
These were the people that had the Shanley apartments, and that was right next to Forbes Field, too. And they had the baseball players for dinner every once in a while. And we got all their autographs, like Paul Wayner and
his brother Lloyd.
Lloyd Wayner.
Alex Wagner, one of the greatest baseball players. He didn't play, he was
Oh, they were
coached
so
by them.
exciting to talk to. And the time
Did you
Paul
enjoy
went
talking
over
to the
the wall,
dwarfs too? Did you enjoy the
and
dwarfs?
you were sled riding them down in all the backyards, and I was standing
Oh, that
with
was
Betty
special.
Lou in Betty Lou's backyard, and all of a sudden he came right over the wall, and it was about, what, 6 feet high, and the sled took off.
No, there were all the houses, there were about 5 houses in a row, but they were terraced, the yards were terraced, the backyards. It was on the side of a hill. You go up
So
on
the
the
next
top
one
one
was
and just
down.
come down and down and down. But the last one, there was a driveway that went out to the street. You had to make a right-hand turn, a hard turn. And there was a drop of about 6 feet from the wall.
So that's what led
I
to all the
failed
Austin
to-
Heelys.
I didn't make the turn.
You were a speed demon even then.
Were you injured?
Hmm?
No, it wasn't.
Bloody nose.
We rescued him. We were right there. I don't know why we didn't see him before he did it.
It was about 4 or 5 houses. It was really a good
But
ride.
remember when all the time we played hide and go seek around that neighborhood? They were a wonderful
Which
place.
neighborhood was this?
Right on Kipling Road.
Where the killers were.
And
The Kill-
we went up to the Dunn. Was it the Dunn's house? Up at the top of the hill?
You mean the big one at the,
Yeah.
who was that?
Foster.
Foster.
Foster's.
He wound up,
They-
when I was working in the hotel in 1951,
Yeah, well, we
he took the master suite in the hotel for the whole season.
Well, you didn't tell the part about what precipitated. They used to have a tennis court, which they didn't use, and we used it to play football and everything. We used to congregate. And then one day, I guess they told us they didn't want to use it anymore, so we got a council and decided we could war against them the next day. We were all kids and everybody, all the Kipling Road killers. We all had these mock guns and everything, and we surrounded the whole house. And these people were looking at it here, being invaded by this army of kids, and we didn't know what they were gonna really do. But they were peering out the porch and out the windows, and there must have been about 10 or 15 kids, all certainly had their whole house surrounded.
You know, we had our little caches where we had the guns and we had our canteens. We had all our
We
spy
were
glasses.
really equipped. It was,
We were in good shape.
They
win?
were in bad shape.
Did you win? Did you hear
No.
about John's big romance with Janet Anderson and how they got married?
I married.
What?
yeah, Paul was a preacher.
I was the preacher.
It was exciting.
The back steps.
They used to
Certainly was
take
for
him out
Janet.
all the time. For Janet. Janet.
Was her first name.
They took her
Yeah, and then I had to work for 3 years with her husband.
Did you know that he was still living as far as we know?
Yeah.
But both he and his wife have full-time nurses now, but
He was a
they
wonderful
lived pretty
guy.
long. He became vice president of Cowan.
Yeah, vice president of personnel. One of the officers of the company. Nice guy.
He used to help us with the playing those games and all. And their daughter, Marilyn, Janet's sister,
Who did she marry?
is in her second marriage. Her first husband was killed in an automobile accident.
What was your mother doing while you guys were storming enemy houses and?
Trying to put her house back together again.
Were you raised by nannies or nurses or?
Always.
Yeah, John and I had them for a while.
We had a nurse that's
How long did
always
they last?
street, and then
After the painting,
Depression.
not long.
When she found out I was 7 years old and married, she got
no, marriage 7.
Did your mom do a lot of the household duties or?
Well, she
No, we
always
had-
had a maid.
We had a maid,
They
and
couldn't keep
this
up
had this
no way to
one,
keep
this
up with 3
Alice,
boys.
and she was a fascinating person, and she would get us in conversation and conned us, the 3 of us, to dry the dishes.
Then she set the oven on fire. Fire department came. There was a chicken in the oven. The fireman said, "What are you gonna do with this ruined chicken?" And they said, "Take it with you." So they threw it in the back of the fire department. Took off. That was the end of that.
That wasn't the one that the dog got?
No, that was another chicken.
Wasn't-
The 3-legged dog
wasn't
that
she the
stole
one
the
whose
ham.
boyfriend was in the house and jumped out of the second story window?
What was it about the chicken that was missing the limb?
That was
the
ours.
dog.
The dog got
The
it.
dog, there was a 3-legged dog.
Tripod.
Tripod dog. And mother had bought a big ham. And I know the phone was ringing or something, and she left the door of the car open.
Dog took it away.
And the 3-legged dog came in and grabbed the ham and was dragging it down. Dragging a 15-pound ham down the street.
What schools did you go to in Pittsburgh?
Just white.
Whiteman School, which is a big and
Did you all go together?
Yeah, we were all, I don't know, if I guess the ham got out when I came in.
So
I went 4th,
Miss-
5th, and 6th grade. I went to a private girls' school, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, then in Depression.
Then I came in.
but my mother used to go down to Miss Trudy.
Miss
And she'd go down and she'd say, "Did you know that Charles Lindbergh is coming to town? He's going to be at such and such a place in the neighborhood." And she said, "Yes." And my mother would say, "Well, I think you ought to let the school out to meet him. He's a very, interesting person." And everything. I said, "Mrs. Cowan, you know that I'm only allowed to have a certain number of days off and everything." My mother said, "Well, I'm very sorry, Miss Fruit, that you can count on the Cowan children not being in school tomorrow, because I think that that's more important." She always, anytime that anyone came to Pittsburgh, there was a no.
Oh, mother always took us everywhere.
Well, one time,
Like
John-
the merry-go-round we used to go
Yes.
to all those times. We loved it so much.
Well, one time she got us up early on a Saturday morning, John and I, told us to get dressed, and we were getting dressed. And I said to John, I said, "Where are we going today?" And she said, "We're going to hear Fats Waller." And I said, "Who's Fats Waller?" And John says, "I don't know, but he's the best at what he does."
They took us to see FDR.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we always went to see all the famous people. And Hoover, we went to see him go past.
It was that time.
Oh, and when Pittsburgh had a terrific flood. She took me down and we went on a bridge and watched the people getting out of their houses in canoes and boats and things. And
When was that?
not canoes, rowboats.
How old were you then?
36.
36?
It was 1936.
But she continued that, because I came
Oh, she
down to when they were living in Delaware. And she announced we're going to this reception for Andy Warhol and what was Wyeth's son? They had
Oh,
that
we went to
museum in
that
Chatfield.
with you.
Yeah, but I mean, how did she, she just told them something, we like to come, and there we were. And,
We always went to see. I went to see Landon. When he ran.
Did your father go along on all these expeditions? Or was he busy at the office?
He was more at the office. But
Trying to feed the horde.
Did you do weekend excursions or go on picnics? Or?
Yeah, one time grandmother came out
we
for
always had
Sunday
big picnics
dinner,
on the
the
4th of
noonday
July.
meal. And they all decided right at the dinner that there was this Cleveland exposition, and we all took off in the car for Cleveland. Just right after dinner.
Including Dad?
No,
No, he didn't go.
he had to go to work.
And I couldn't go because I was finishing a project.
All got lost at the exposition?
Yeah, we
But
were
we made
out.
it all the way to Cleveland and back without a flat tire.
We had notified the police that he was missing and everything like that, and we're looking all over, and everybody's looking for him.
Yellow,
And it's-
you had
we
yellow
finally-
outfits on.
Yeah, we finally went back to the car, and there's Paul waiting, and he's, where you been? I've been looking for you.
Who changed the flat tire?
I say, they got all the way to Cleveland and back without one,
Without one.
which was a first in history.
Did you always have the holiday dinners at
Yeah,
Grandma
every
Smiley's
Christmas.
house?
Christmas.
And Bill and I
Sounds like a big
used to
production.
work up a program.
Oh, yeah, it was,
Bill and I had a lot of programs. We worked together.
After you
Put on a play every year.
what,
And we
what,
would,
Is that where the pictures of the pirates and all those?
no,
That was
several.
what shows did you do? What did you do for play?
Depended, some people.
was much better than
and Wesley, did they, what was it, when you turned 16, you had to wear a tux? Whatever, there was an age limit. And Wesley Miller turned whatever the age, and came in with his beautiful tux. And there was no room at the grown-ups table, so he had to sit at the kids. So in order to appease them, he said you could sit at the head of the table. Because you're the oldest, and you have. And he went to his head a little bit. We were cutting up, and all of a sudden he had his gravy, mashed potatoes, turkey, cranberries, the whole shamir on his plate. And bang, 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 hits the table, hits the plate.
went down all over.
Right over his brand new, beautiful tux.
The ladies all wore long evening dresses to the Christmas party.
Yes, there was an
She
age
would
limit
sit
there.
there.
You graduated to a tuxedo.
Well, was Wesley Arnold Looney still alive?
Oh,
And-
no.
And he didn't run those. It was Grandma Smiley.
Grandma
Yes,
Lois.
Grandma.
Wesley Looney died just a month or two after I was born.
Okay.
Now, when I was about 5 years old, I remember going in and shaking his hand, and he nearly crushed it. And oh, I never did anything as brave before or after because I didn't scream. Because I swore I wasn't going to scream, and he did. But he was only being nice, but he didn't, something was wrong. He crushed, almost crushed. One Christmas, Mother went out to see Grandmother because she was ill. And so she left us to get Christmas dinner. It was the first time I had ever stuffed a turkey. And you boys all came out and helped me. And we stuffed and stuffed and stuffed that turkey. We didn't know you shouldn't put. We stuffed as much as we could put. We had to go out and buy more bread. And we stuffed it. And we were supposed to ask Grandma Cowan for Christmas dinner that night, and she came. I don't remember much about it.
How did the stuffing come out? Like a rock or something?
Anything. You remember doing it? And how we kept stuffing it.
Did y'all go in for sports when you were kids?
Who?
Sports?
Oh, yeah. John did very well in wrestling.
Yeah, he did lightweight wrestling.
I ran cross country and track.
At the Upper Darby School?
Yeah, wasn't that where it was, John? And John did so well that they invited me out for wrestling too. And he said, gee, and the coach used to, you couple up with an opponent and you try these maneuvers. I really didn't know what I was doing. And then he'd come around afterwards to each couple and he'd say, well, how did it work out? And everybody said, well, I got a draw or I got an advantage. And then he came to me and I said, I got pinned. He said, I don't think it runs in the family. He said, I think you better stick to the track, buddy.
Bob did wonderfully in football at Principia. You know, there were smaller classes, so they didn't take such heavy people. And he was the quarterback or something. Huge.
Fullback and
he just loved it.
and halfback.
And he did wonderfully.
They called you Bullet, right?
Well, the first day, we were playing one team and we were doing real lousy. And we were trying, in practice, we tried this spinner buck lateral thing. It was handing or faking the ball to a halfback coming around. You spun around, tried to, and I always in football, because I wasn't very big, and I always tried to learn everybody's position, so that, you know, they'd say, we need somebody, and so who can center the ball, and say, I could. And so I learned this, and our regular fullback was hurt. And so they put me in this game. And I don't know, it just worked out. And I scored something like 4 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
And they started calling me rubber legs from the motion of my legs or whatever. And then a couple days later, it was this guy that played with Billy Hildenbrand, who was All-American at the University of Indiana. And his name was Bob Cowan, and they called him Bullet. So they changed my nickname to Bullet.
Good, I like Bullet better.
That's
When did you go to Principia?
I was in the class of 45.
The high school.
The high school, not the college.
No.
We call it upper school.
Where's Principia Upper School?
It was
Same place?
At that time, it was in St. Louis, and then they moved to Clayton.
Right on Page Boulevard.
It's right. It's a suburb of St. Louis.
It was a boarding school.
Yeah, it was a boarding school. They had a lot of traditions. They had a front gate and a back gate. It was a great big block that the campus was on. And after every athletic conference, we had these station wagons, because the athletic fields were out in Clayton. And when we come back to the school, if we won, we got to go in the front gate. If we lost, we go in the back gate.
Did any of the other kids go to the high school too, or did they stay in?
I guess I was the only one that kind of walked the door after that.
Didn't Paul go to Daypro?
Hmm?
Didn't Paul go to Daypro?
Yeah, that was it.
He went to Friend Central first and then he went to Dickory. He went to Quaker school.
Paul?
No, I went to a girls' private school through high school. The one I went the first 4 grades, and then I went the last 4 grades there. But I got a scholarship through the whole high school.
That was a school that sent me from Bureau. She was a Crawford then.
Pitched in softball. I had a wonderful pitch, although if I worked too hard, it would go straight up in the air instead of the head.
Well, it's still hard to hit.
Did you swim? Did you swim back then?
Well, we didn't have any swimming pool at the school or anything, but I swam a lot.
I mean, you weren't on the swim team or something.
No. I tried to be on the swim team in college, and I went into a backstroke race, and I worked so hard, and I ended up, I swam from one diagonal to the other. I'm sure I didn't win. No.
She swam further.
She took the long way.
Distance record, not the time.
Which college did you go to? Yeah. Did you go to Principia College?
Yes, I started out there, and I wasn't very well. I had a wonderful job and I did real good work, but I had to come home at Christmas. Mother had to come and get me, and so then I went to Pennsylvania College for Women, which was just about 3 blocks away, for a year and a half. And then when we moved to Philadelphia, I went to the University of Pennsylvania. So I graduated in 4 years, which is...
What year was that?
44.
44.
Well, they didn't talk to her at all because she was Irish.
I got partial scholarship in PCW, and then I earned a lot between my junior and senior year. Working in the lab where I met Ted.
You studied sciences?
No, I majored in chemistry.
I didn't know that.
But I never had any chemistry till my sophomore year in college. But I majored in it, so you know how hard I worked.
And so you met in the school lab?
Not the school lab. Met. I answered an ad that said no summer jobs, and between my junior and senior year. But the war was going on, and so we had something like almost 4 months instead of 2 or 3. And so I got the job, and then I worked there after I graduated too. And so I earned my whole, with a little bit of a scholarship, I earned my whole last year at college. So Dad said I should be working for a bigger company where I'd have a chance to meet more people.
Oh, absolutely.
This gal that I used to ride to school, to the job with, we had a carpool, of course, and she was dating Ted, but she decided Ted wasn't tall enough for her, and so, but she went to the same church.
So you swooped in?
Swooped in. So she told me about Ted, and told Ted about me. So we started one time. And I was doing experiments on his thing.
What was that? What kind of work was that? Do you know?
I worked in an analytical lab doing
What kind of experiments was he doing?
on clay, catalyst clay, determining like how much, what was in them.
Well, when you were in school, Dad, you worked too, didn't you, at the BG house?
About 3 jobs.
Oh boy, yeah.
He used to study, and did you have a telephone answering service? And
You know, he answered doctor's calls in the middle of the night. Slept.
You know that.
It was very interesting.
And then he worked at the sailboat place.
I just heard about the jelly donut place where he got to eat all the old day old jelly
You
donuts.
don't know all the jobs he had when he
No.
was in college.
At a sailboat place?
Where are you gonna put it?
He worked at the yacht club in Stone Harbor.
Also worked down on the docks, didn't you?
He
Stevedore?
worked in the docks, loading boats. He was
It's
real
hard work.
short and too good looking too. Working with those rough guys.
It's good pay.
Really good. What?
It's good pay.
Oh, my. And then he directed trains one summer at the 30th Street Station.
Yeah, for Reading,
For Reading Railroad.
which no longer exists. But that's not.
It wasn't your fault,
That
no?
wasn't simultaneous, was it?
No, I don't
But
think
you know what the airlines people do about,
The air traffic controllers.
well, he was train traffic.
Did they train you to do that, or did they just say,
He had to be pretty smart.
it's simpler than, it's not. It's much easier to handle trains back before they got all this electronic stuff.
But you know I had to pay attention.
We didn't have any major wrecks. That's what we were supposed to be doing.
You heard all about his trip to Norway too.
we went, we took a trip up to Oslo and saw some of the Olympic site and some stuff like that, but I never, did you go to school in Oslo?
Didn't you take some
He was
courses
supposed
on
to take
Edward Gray?
piano. Who told him he was majoring in piano?
Is that right?
It's amazing how he got there free.
Yeah,
Where do you want?
we went over on piano scholarship.
No.
And you went to Finland?
Yeah.
What was the story there?
And you lost, you didn't have enough money to get back.
This guy, David Gransko, and I, we were originally only going to Stockholm, but then we found out we could, we met this young girl. David was enamored of her, and she enticed him to have us buy round trip tickets over to Finland and back, so we went to Helsinki. And we
But you
got
didn't
back.
have enough money because you couldn't take that much in.
We took all Norwegian kroner, and the Swedes didn't accept that. They bought the kroner.
So you didn't have any money, so you went to the big hotel.
Grand Hotel.
And went over the guest list and found Eddie Cantor. Remember who he was?
The singer Eddie Cantor?
Well, he was a comedian too.
Oh, comedian. And what did you do?
Went upstairs and banged on his door. And he then loaned us the money.
Was it a loan or?
He
We
said,
told him when he got to Norway, we wanted him to come out to the college to Lindern, where the student homes and all the classes were. And he came out there and he spoke to the students, and he received the Norwegian kroner from us and gave us a receipt, so we had his autograph, which all was kind of fun, because he was such a famous man. But he was just walking around Scandinavia. These two guys banging on his door. He was very nice,
How much did you borrow?
quite a bit. $50 or something.
did you pay him back?
Yeah, paid him back and made him sign a receipt, so it never had his autograph.
How much did you get for the autograph?
Couple hundred. It was kind of strange.
remember Dwayne Ritchie?
I remember his name.
Yeah, his father was head of the school of surgery at University of Pittsburgh. He was very, very prominent.
Timmy's father was a doctor.
Yeah, yeah. They were both taught at University of Pittsburgh, which had a very good medical school.
He's the guy that threw the baby through.
Yeah, well, he was this great big fat Buddha-like kid, and this was 12 or 14 or something like that. This guy was like a human chimney. I mean, he couldn't buy cigarettes fast enough to smoke them, and we had those little machines that you made cigarettes for, and he used to pay Paul and I to make cigarettes for him while he smoked. But he lived next door to the son, this guy that owned Heppenstall Steel Company. And I guess he was the president, a pretty self-important guy. And this Dwayne was just a nemesis of his. He would tempt Dwayne, and Dwayne would go over and paint his porch, and then he would make Dwayne clean it off. And they just didn't see eye to eye. This guy, Dwayne, was only about 12 years old. And so one day, Dwayne had a BB gun or slingshot or something. And you weren't supposed to have them. They shot out a window of the Heppenstall's house. Nobody got damaged, but this Heppenstall kind of staged this for a Sunday afternoon when all the neighbors, they lived on a cul-de-sac, were there, and he thought he, huh?
My best friend lived on this thing.
Yeah, but he thought he was going to get the upper hand with Dwayne Ritchie. So when he had this big audience, he said, okay.
He found the baby somehow that came through the window.
Yeah, and he said, okay. He said, how did this happen? And he said, did you do this? And he said, yes. And he said, well, how did you propel this? Because he was trying to get him to admit that he had a BB gun. And he said, I threw it. And all the neighbors just broke up.
Mr. Heppenstall handed him the BB and said, let's see you do it again.
Remember Oscar LeBand lived on that street?
Excuse me. Oh, up at, I forget what that was.
Yeah, I know.
I'm talking about the various stories.
I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, that these stories.
I could hear.
I know, I'm not, just, my buddy who is the genealogist.
Wayne had a problem with the
Check,
He was about 11 or 12 and he decided he was going for a spin in a family car. And the car was in the garage. Dwayne opened the door to the garage. After surreptitiously stealing his father's car keys. And he got the engine going and put it in forward and drove it through the back of the garage. Then he ran down to our house and told his father he'd been at our house since early that morning. Had no idea how the back of the garage got. He was something else.
What happened at the Van Buskirk one time?
With Bob
Their
McKee?
garage, and something spilled or something?
It didn't exactly spill. It was kind of encouraging. They had a great big square-sided swimming pool, which they put in the back of their garage, because you couldn't store it flat very well. And on the top of it, there was it lubricating grease or something? It was enormous. It was something like a 5-gallon can or something. It was perched on top of the swimming pool. Bob McKee was kind of, this was Bob McKee III. This was a rambunctious kid. And he knocked the swimming pool down and the stuff came down. And this was a double car garage, and the floor was just covered with this thing about green fish. And my mother and Bamakee's mother had to come up there, and they spent, I think, about 2 days cleaning up that mess. Oh, it was the most.
Exasperating.
It was Bob McKee's idea that we get the hose and wash it all away. And all it did was just foam up.
Yeah, it was some kind of way. It was a soap, wasn't it, or something? It was
It really made a lot of foam when we got the water in there. It was great.
See, this is what,
Remember
there is nothing that you can say.
that Patty Cochran lived next door to them? Do you remember her at all?
The Cochrans? The Van Buskers? Yeah.
Now, I remember I went over, because she wanted to learn how to make fudge. And mother made the best
Oh,
fudge.
yeah.
And so I went over to help them make fudge. And they never had heard of a measuring cup or anything. We had to use the teacups to measure the stuff with. Oh, she had never cooked, and that was the way women were in those days often. They didn't know anything. Her mother never cooked anything.
Time for lunch.
So,